So, welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, everyone. This is the fourth interview of a series that we are doing on the four elements, the four archetypes, which is all part of your offering that we call Awakening Woman. And Awakening Woman is a women's initiatory journey that you've been offering for many years now in different places around the world. And I've invited you to Crete this year. Well, you've come a couple of times so far for introductory weekends, and now we are ready to start the year-long program, which is starting on the 5th of November. We still have 4 places left for whoever is watching and is interested to get in touch with us now. And yeah, so we are exploring today the air or the air element or the Shamana archetype. And if anyone wants to watch the other three elements archetypes, they can do this through the YouTube channel, or they can go to my Facebook page, New Life Pathways. So I'd like to begin unless you have something to add.
No, beautiful. I'm here.
So what? So the air element. Let's talk a little bit about the air element. What does it? What is it? What does it? How do we experience it in our body? What does it represent? What qualities?
So, another way to define the air element is the unseen, the space, the intangible, the infinite, the void. I love the word in Spanish, which is where I live at the moment in Spain, which is called la nada. And nada is also means swim. So, how to be in the nada? And another sentence I like to bring here that is part of a poem that somebody showed me not long ago.
Also is nothing, right?
Sorry?
Nada also is nothing.
Nada is nothing, yeah. Emptiness. Um, the sentence of this poem goes, the tangible. No, in Spanish is lo Lo finito es una decoración para lo infinito. The tangible, it's a decoration for the intangible. So all the world of shapes, forms, colors that we have, that we see, it's but a decoration to the infinite,
A
to the
declaration or a declaration.
decoration. A decoration, you know? Ding. So there is but Daphne's vastness. There is only vastness, infinite. I mean, infinite, here we are with our minds, is just a word. But if you actually think what that word means, it's impossible to grasp it with our minds, with our ego. It means eternity, something that has no beginning to end. And one of the things that are beautiful about looking at the stars is that they take us there at night when we see the stars, that mystery, that when we think that there is galaxies upon galaxies filled with solar systems. And our neighbor galaxy is called Andromeda. I love the name. And apparently they're getting together. Our Milky Way and the Andromeda are kind of making friends. They're coming together and we're going to become one with Andromeda. So we're going to be our millions of solar systems together with our neighbor's galaxy with millions of our solar systems. So we're never short of friends. And one has to laugh because, it just falls too big for us. And it's that vastness and it's that largeness that I feel it's key for us to be in this dimension of form for the little time we're here, to have a sense of our immortality in the mortal body. So we are infinite within a mortal body, within a temporary, finite shape and form, and we travel through this dimension, and we have experiences that some people can say they're chosen, predetermined, or the free will, a different subject. But here we are for a short period of time. For some of us it's extremely short, like one day we come into this planet and we're gone, done. And some of us last 100 or over 100 years. And that vastness, that sense of being in relationship, what the Buddhists call the void, and every awoken being talks about the emptiness, that everything from the word Maya, everything points towards, even now quantum physics are beginning to point at the everything is kind of potentially can go in any direction, but there is an intelligence that holds it all. A particle can be a particle or a wave. It can behave in different ways. So can we. But that is because we are on something which is the mystery, the vastness. And the mind cannot access that. Our personality, our ego, our intelligence, which is the basic intelligence, our capacity to decode information and memory, which is overrated in our culture. So I call it the Shamana because in ancient times these people were able to transcend the limitations of ego, body, personality, and touch other dimensions. And to touch other dimensions, the vehicle is like when you leave this earth, you need to go travel into space.
In the shamans, in the indigenous cultures.
Yes. So for me, in my interest on exploring, when I explore this with people, is what obstructs us to be able to have access in your own unique way to this infinite, to this timelessness, to that void that you already are, and everything is surrounded in and is drenched in. What doesn't allow you to have that knowledge within your life while you're washing the dishes, while you're talking, while you're conducting yourself in myriads of roles? How come you're not aware of this mystery, of this vastness? So then we go to, since the beginning of time, we have asked, because it's part of our human nature, who are we? And where the hell do we come from, and where are we going? From the pyramids, from the cave and the bison painting, and then the religions, which is a more apart, the gods. And I feel that this inquiry and the discoveries that certain people have made and their own unique way of accessing the cosmic intelligence has become a way for us to not access ours. So when you're born, you are injected with a religion that you have to embrace or reject, and then you start, but the seeking does not stop. And I don't care whether you're atheist or whatever, you're going to look for meaning somewhere, even if it's in the most on drugs, because it's inbuilt in us to expand, to look for meaning. And religions, when you transcend religions, which they give you answers rather than following your own question and let the question lead the way. when we look beyond that, then we find all sorts of gurus and teachers and paths. And nowadays we are in a supermarket of spirituality where, I don't know about your mobile, but mine is filled with possibilities of teachers that will show you the way to freedom, to love, and everybody says their path is the one. And so, and of course we can get inspired to other people that have walked before us. Like if I want to learn guitar, which I'm going to do very shortly, I'm going to use the skills of somebody who's already walked that path on the one hand, and there's a technology I have to learn. But on the other hand, that giving our power away to an external authority disconnects us from accessing our direct, unique connection to what we already are. So actually, the example of the guitar is not good because I am not a guitar. I mean, I can have a guitar and play guitar, and I have to learn how to use it. But if we're talking about the infinite, the mystery, I am, and you are, and every seeker, and every finder, and every provider of answers, we're all in the same boat. So the question for me is in when we explore that, what is your pathway? How can you experience that? And once you experience that emptiness, that vastness, that mystery, that God, whatever word you want to use, how do you keep accessing that? How do you bring it into your daily life? When you're talking to somebody that's irritating you, when you're doing a tedious task, when you're caught in a traffic jam, when you're fighting with your partner. Yeah. So that's kind of a big spiel. You haven't even hardly asked me a question.
Beautiful. So when we, so most of us really, we don't have a relationship, like you say. We a lot of us have maybe an understanding, and some don't even, and they don't even want to know, but some understand, and very few of us, compared to the collective, are actually in relationship to what you're talking about, embodying this awareness in the everyday life. And so what are we missing? What's happening? What are the symptoms? How do our lives look like when we don't have that relationship with this element?
Well, when we are over identified with form and we believe we are that which we are touching, handling, then we enter fear because somebody is going to be, because we know that we can lose it. We can lose that. We can lose our body. We can lose somebody. We can lose our wealth, our fame. Yeah, we strive to get things because who are we? So if I stuff myself with things, it's like with food. If I stuff myself with food, then I don't feel the emptiness. And this is what the ego fears, the emptiness. And what the Shamana inquiry takes us is the emptiness is the portal to everything, to the connection with the divine. And so that identification with body is tremendously painful because your body's going to age and it's going to die. And it's always in a risk of falling ill or being damaged in some way. And so it's your objects, just a minute ago, I was just before this call, I just bought a ring that I was very attached. Oh, there it is. It's not that one, another one. And I began to take all my rings out. And And it's like we get attached to things, and then we feel pain, the wound of separation from the divine. And then we suffer. And so I had a moment of this attachment of the ring, and then I immediately thought about my mind told me this story about the when the kings lost his ring, don't tell him about God, but help him to find his ring first, right? So, like, meaning, don't transcend it into, oh, it's okay, it was meant to go. That state of trust and surrender, which we can talk in a moment. But so back to the lover, which is the last one. Can I feel as a human being the loss of that thing which I'm attached, but the degree of ability to have dealt with past loss, then it will be very momentary, and acknowledging that there was an attachment, I can let it go and come back to the homeostatic blissfulness that is when we're in a state of belonging to the cosmos, to state of absolute trust that you are placed here and you'll be removed just at the perfect time, and that everything that is unfolding, it's a co-creation with it, with this infinite, with this mystery, with this intelligence. And when you are aware of that, you begin to go downstream rather than resist the flow of life while you're here with a sense of the vastness, that the sun rises every day, bang, and we just, oh, today the sun is not going to rise. No, it's kind of like the perfection, dare I say this word, of our cyclical nature, of how our body works when we're asleep. You don't have to think, oh, put on the list, make sure that my heart beats through the night, make sure that my kidneys are doing the cleaning. No, it's like incredible. Everything is just working perfectly. We disturb it, sure, but and if even if I disturb it and I drink all sorts of things that makes my kidneys despair, they still try to repair itself and make it work for me again. There's I mean, over time, then of course my body's gonna be overwhelmed by the amount of rubbish. But that is the mystery. Look at an ant. I mean, who designed that? I mean, the most insignificant small creatures that we have, that we squash them as we walk around aimlessly. The intelligence, to how they function, the perfection of their little bodies, and the little, they get on so well on the building their houses and the food storage, and they're really, every time they see each other, they go hi. They do like a little snog, and they move on. It's like, this is quite awesome. It's like, no, how quick is an ant? Just make it quick. Everything is designed to perfection. I mean, so that's the mystery. And to be aware of that is to be wealthy.
Yeah. Yes, there's so much we miss actually day to day, and we're looking for it elsewhere. And so okay, so we talked about, you talked about two things. One is the attachment to form. And then the other is, you also mentioned the tendency to transcend. You said help the king first, relate to his pain, and then from there, I guess you can let go. You can surrender once you've done that, whether or not you find the ring.
Yeah.
And so what you are saying is that for this process to be um, for our ability, for us to have our ability to connect uh, with the vastness that we are, and to experience this sense of um, awesomeness in our body. It is essential that we are able to relate to our pain around loss.
It's not essential at all. We don't need to, because that's what religions and a lot of teachers, this is too painful, this dimension, escape into the void, right? That's what we learned. You do your mantras, you go up, you go up, you transcend. You don't want to be here, it's too painful. Once you realize it's not as easy as it looks to be here, right? So that is the danger. It's like when we were talking about the lover is addictions, the danger of connecting with the void, the spirituality, whatever you want to call it, is escapism. And if what we're looking at is incarnating this void and bringing it into the daily life, then yes, then we need to acknowledge our pain and then steep it into this beautiful mystery and emptiness in a state of trust. But that's not what's happening for most of us when we reach out for spirits. It's interesting, it's called spirit, like spirits, whiskey, Jack Daniels, It's like, that's not what we do. What we want is out. Yeah. Does that answer the question, or have I digressed somewhere?
It does, exactly. Yeah. I guess that's what I meant. In order for us to really feel that in our body, that connection, not as what's the state when you transcend? You're not feeling
No.
anything, and there is an experience, I guess, of everything is fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we see a lot of that in the history of religions, isn't it? In the name of Lord and the name of God, so much cruelty has been acted out, so much violation in the name of going to God. So yeah, we if we don't feel, whatever we do, even going to God, is going to be dangerous. Allah said, or Jesus, no, that's not a comparison, but the Crusaders, the sword of the Muslim traditions, to conquer through the sword in the name of Allah. I mean, that is, wow, it's quite something, isn't it? Violence is okay in the name of the Lord. Am I getting into dangerous territory?
Who cares? Um, so I think this answers, not this, but generally you've answered my next question. But I think maybe we can be a bit more specific. So how do we begin to open to free our relationship to this element?
Yeah. Well, as anything, the first thing is to see what you filled up with, which is in your mind and is in form of beliefs. And these beliefs become like gatekeepers to your truth, defenders, not defenders to truth, defenders for you going into your own unique truth, because you've already been told what it is and how it is. So you need to be conscious of the beliefs you inherited in your which they are probably in your unconscious. And then you have an adult beliefs which you say, well, no, I don't believe in that anymore, and you've made your own counteract, but they are there. And so as we begin to make them conscious, we can have choice. When we have something is conscious, like when you know you got an arm that's hurting you because it's broken, then you can do something about it. You have a choice of what you want to do. So in front of that choice, we begin to see that you don't have to follow those injunctions, but you can actually choose returning to a natural state, that your experience of what you're looking for, it's already there. And that is key. But it won't allow you to know that if you're in your mind. In your mind is all the information, all the beliefs that are telling you how it is. And the fact is that we don't know how it is. I mean, do you understand the cosmos? Doesn't matter how many astronomers tells you the name of the next door galaxy. Does it make any sense to you? Do you understand what a black hole is? Do you understand that there is universes being swallowed up in it and different galaxies coming out of it? I mean, does that make it's gobbledygook, isn't it? I mean, I mean, yeah, I mean, great. I mean, interesting. Is it interesting? I mean, it's like massive. I can't possibly understand it with my mind. But I can enter that because I'm part of the universe. I'm made of cosmos and earth, so I am that.
But we can enter that. Yeah. Yeah. Not with our mind, obviously.
No. So on the first weekend of the initiatory journey, that's what we do. In the first 2 months before we enter the mother, we are looking at the experience of source, of the infinite in us, the void, and see what the fear that we have towards it. And then we begin our choices to begin to incarnate it, mother, fire, earth. We go down, we want to incarnate it, and then is when you can look at your life with the void included rather than excluded. Then your relationship with the ring will be different. With all the rings in your life, you will begin to enjoy them and appreciate them rather than want to control them or tie them up with padlocks so that you don't lose them. And that's a big difference, whether it's rings or people or animals or emotions or thoughts. You won't padlock. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think I feel complete for now. Do you have anything to add?
What are your closing words on the subject? Yes, I have something to add, which is once you realize this, once you touch and continue to touch and make yourself available to that emptiness, all that's left is humor. It's so funny to be here. It's like things just appear and disappear. People come and go, and thoughts come and go, and emotions come and go and change, and it's like a parade of shape, form, color experiences. But because you're none of it, and you're the experiencer rather than the experiences, then it's really funny. I think my ego is so funny, and you and I, Daphne, we often begin our meetings that way. And I tell you you tell me, how are you, Elisabeth? and I begin to create a drama, and you smile and looking at me, and you follow the game.
Yeah, it's so enjoyable. It's one of the most enjoyable things that I engage with.
So, it's all quite absurd and deeply mysterious and not knowing. The truth is, somebody's knocking on the door. You see? Something's happening all the time. Hello? Oh, it's the Shamana woman. Ahora bajo. Estoy en una entrevista. Ahora bajo. Bajo, bajo. ¿Me lo llevas abajo? Y bajo ahora. Ahora bajo. And this girl, wait a minute. Ven, ven, ven. I'm gonna introduce something. Put the plate down. I want you to show you before she shows her face. Espera, espera. This girl, her eyes, look at her eyes, because she's going to be a main star on the film that we're going to do this coming week on the Shamana. So le estoy diciendo que esta chica que está entrando ahora, porque esto es una entrevista que la vamos a poner por todos lados, ¿vale? Será una de las actrices en la película que vamos a rodar esta semana, que se llama La Chamana. Y ahora pues, so this is it. This is the Shamana. Look at her eyes. She's Shamana girl. And that's what we're going to be doing next week. So she will be, if you want to know more about Shamana, you can come into my website that will be born on the 14th of October. And there is some more explanation, and I talk about all of that in that video.
And it's www.feminineecstasy.com, right?
That's right. That's right. But it's not on yet. It's not established yet.
No, no.
And we are talking to esta chica está en Grecia.
¿La conociste cuando fuiste a Grecia?
No, she says, did you meet her when you went to Greece? And I said, no. Ella está, la conozco desde hace 12 years, 10 years that we know each other.
Yes. 8, maybe. 8.
8 años hace que la conozco. Pero está aquí en Grecia. Isn't she a beautiful actress? I mean, I've chosen the best.
Yes, she's so radiant and beautiful, and yeah.
Exactly, and this is all of us, and what we want is when we grow old that this doesn't go. Yeah. And that capacity of wonder, and we don't want to fill it up with answers, do we? No. So vamos a cerrar con ella y nos vemos ahora a la hora, allá abajo. ¿Me puedes bajar el plato? Este platísimo buenísimo. Oh my God, qué bueno. Ahora, ¿estás comiendo fuera?
Sí.
Vale, ahora.
What a beautiful way to close.
What a way to close. It's like knock, knock. Who's knocking? Who's there? Open the door and find out. And don't have preconceived idea. And just receive it. And I got a plate of food. Yes. So
thank you, Elisabeth.
yes.
I'll see you soon in a month's time.
Yeah. So let's see if we get the closure of this group, and that everybody that needs to be in this adventure joins us very soon.
The noise of the rings.
The rings. The Lords of the Rings. Oh, interesting. Oh, I'm finding all sorts of interesting things in that book. See, there's always surprises. Okay, so Daphne will be in touch. Lots of love. Bye-bye.